You've probably been there. You ask an AI a question, and it gives you this perfect, super confident answer. But then you look a little closer, and you realize that answer is completely, spectacularly wrong. So how on earth is that possible?
Right? It's this bizarre paradox that's both really fascinating and, a little bit unsettling. This is the central mystery we're going to solve today. How can an AI sound like an absolute genius even when it's literally just making things up? Just look at this. On the left, you've got a simple, correct fact. Easy. On the right, you have a wild fabrication, but it's delivered with the exact same level of confidence. You know what's missing? There's no hesitation. No, well, I think it might be no doubt at all. It just states the fact. And that is the heart of the problem. We see this polished, perfect language, and our brains just automatically connected with understanding and intelligence. But here's the catch. What's actually happening under the hood is something else entirely, something really, really surprising.
That incredibly smooth language leads us right into what we can call the confidence trap. As people, we're just naturally wired to trust a confident delivery, and these AIs, they have absolutely perfected it.
So we imagine the AI is thinking like us. It understands the question, it searches its vast knowledge base, and then it reasons out an answer. But what's actually happening is way, way simpler, and honestly, a lot weirder. It's just playing a game of what comes next. It's predicting the single most likely word one after the other.
That's it. That is the entire game it's playing. It's not about knowledge. It is all about prediction.
Think about it like this. You give it a really simple phrase. The sky is... The AI has scanned billions, literally billions, of sentences from the internet, and it knows that, statistically, the word that most often follows the sky is blue. So it picks blue. It's not looking out a window, it's just playing the odds. And it plays this prediction game on a scale that is just mind-boggling. These models are trained on text from basically the entire internet. We're talking trillions of words here. And that immense data set is exactly how it gets so good at recognizing all these language patterns. And this leads us to the core, kind of counterintuitive fact. The AI isn't thinking. It's not understanding. It doesn't know a single thing. It is simply the world's most sophisticated pattern-matching machine. And this is where it gets really strange. This incredible ability to match patterns is exactly what allows it to be so fluent, and at the exact same time, so completely false. Okay, let me give you an analogy. Imagine a student who has perfectly memorized every single textbook ever written. They can recite any passage flawlessly, but they don't actually understand the physics or the history or the biology behind the words they're saying. This just illustrates the difference perfectly. A student who truly understands something can apply the concepts, they can connect ideas, and, this is super important, they can say, I don't know. But our memorizing student, they can only assemble sentences that look right based on the patterns they've seen. Their confidence comes from correct grammar, not from correct facts. So here is the most crucial point of all. The AI is optimized for plausibility, not for truth. Its main goal is just to generate sentences that sound human. Its goal was never to be truthful. In its entire world, truth simply isn't part of the equation.
This brings us to this fantastic term that some researchers came up with to describe this exact phenomenon.
I want you to think of a parrot. It can perfectly mimic human speech, right? It can say, hello, how are you? And it sounds just like a person. But that parrot has absolutely no idea what those words mean. It's just repeating sounds it has heard before. A group of researchers in a really landmark paper described these AI models as exactly that, a system that stitches together language based on probabilities or stochastic patterns. They called it a stochastic parrot.
Let's just break that down for a sec. Stochastic is just a fancy word for based on probability. And we all know what a parrot does. It mimics things without understanding them. Put them together and you get the perfect description for what this is, a stochastic parrot. And listen, this isn't just some clever phrase somebody made up. It comes from a hugely influential research paper by Emily M. Bender, Timnit Gebru, and their colleagues. They were the ones who warned us to think of these systems not as some kind of emerging intelligence, but as stochastic parrots, and to really think about the dangers of that misunderstanding. So this all builds up to the most important takeaway for all of us as users, really getting the huge difference between truly knowing something and just predicting what word probably comes next. So why does this distinction matter so much? Because a statistical parrot has no concept of truth. It has no internal fact checker.
It just reflects the patterns from all its training data, and this is key. That includes all the biases, the stereotypes, and the misinformation that's floating around on the internet. It can confidently invent facts out of thin air, just because the sentence sounds right.
So how do we use these amazing tools without falling into that confidence trap? Well, first, treat it like a creative partner, maybe a brainstorming engine, not a search engine for facts. Second, if it gives you any piece of information that actually matters, you have to always verify it with a source you can trust. And third, the most important rule of all, just remember you're talking to a parrot, not a professor.
This all leads to one final critical question you should have in your head every single time you interact with an AI. Ask yourself this: is this tool sharing real knowledge, or is it just a very sophisticated parrot telling me what words usually come next? Once you know the answer to that, you will never look at AI the same way again.